Hey, g'day everyone, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. So today I thought I'd give myself a bit of a challenge and try and beat Ruby solo run with Wobbuffet. Now I'm going to put Wobbuffet's stats on the screen. Wobbuffet's kind of a gimmicky Pokemon. Basically its intention is to be sort of like a punching bag and return hits. So it only learns 4 moves. Those 4 moves are Counter, which retaliates physical moves, Mirror Coat, which retaliates special moves, Safeguard, which blocks status conditions, and Destiny Bond, which if we're knocked out, we take the opponent with us. That last move is not going to be very useful in a solo run because we can't use it at all or else we lose. But as you can see with its stats, it actually has an enormous amount of HP. Like, that is an enormous amount of HP there. The other stats don't really matter too much. Generally, we want to go second if we're using the retaliate moves, but the attack is going to come into play a little bit, which we will talk about a little bit later. Now, sometimes Wobbuffet works well, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes we're going to be relying on struggle. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. At the moment, we know that this Mudkip's only going to use Tackle, so we can use Counter. So in this generation, all normal moves are physical, so we can counter them and pretty much return the damage. We know what that Mudkip's going to do. Now we move over to Roxanne, and in this fight we also know that the Roxanne's Geodude is going to use rock moves or normal moves, which are all physical in this generation. We don't have a physical special split until generation 4. I'll talk a little bit more about that now while we lose to Roxanne a couple of times, just because we can't take enough damage to return. We actually get crit in that instance, and I don't end up saving before Roxanne, so we actually end up blacking out and going to the Pokemon Center. So in this generation, physical and special moves don't work the same way they do from generation 4 onwards. Let's say you have Fire Punch, which sounds like it should be a physical move, and in later generations it is. Because it's a fire move, it's considered a special move in this generation. So even though technically from later generations it's properly classified as a physical move, here it's considered a special move just because of it being fire alone. Now that's why when we're first seeing this Geodude and this Nosepass, we know we need to use Counter because they only have rock moves and normal moves, both of which are considered physical in this generation, and I'll clarify which moves are considered physical and special as we go as they come up. But as you can see here, we do run into a couple of problems. One of the large problems here is if we don't get attacked, we can't actually do any damage. Now at this point, we do use Counter, Nosepass goes ahead and heals, and we get crit a second time on the rock throw, which is absolutely terribly unlucky. We reset and start again. This time I actually learn and put an Orange Berry on my Pokemon. I figured, well, I got all these Orange Berries and they're not going to be much use later. Like, as you can see, we already have 48 HP at level 8. So these Orange Berries are basically going to start doing nothing very quickly as our HP stat gets massive. So right now, we go ahead and knock out the Geodude pretty easily. We now have 33 HP remaining, and we also have the berry still attached. We're waiting for this Nosepass to basically hit us with a rock throw, which it does. We hit it with Counter, and then our berry procs. Roxanne goes ahead and heals, and now we're just kind of waiting for it to hit us again. It hits us again, we hit it back, and we finally beat Roxanne. That wasn't actually too challenging, so that ended up pretty well, and that kind of gave me a bit of false hope. We end up going to Brawly. I wanted to go ahead and see if we could just do this right off the bat. Seismic Toss is actually considered a physical move, and because we're retaliating double power, that actually hits it really hard. Makuhita is always going to go for knockoff, another move that you'd think would be physical, but because it's a dark type, all dark type moves are special in this generation, so we use Mirror Coat to basically return that damage to Makuhita, and we are taking a lot of damage trying to do this. Now, I realized that I didn't equip an Orange Berry again. That Orange Berry actually makes a big difference, so we go ahead and equip it now and we try and beat Brawly one more time. This time, pretty much exactly the same happens. We're going for Counter because we know that all fighting type moves are physical. March-Up only has fighting type and normal type moves, so we're basically going ahead and using Counter to make sure that we can retaliate that damage. Our berry procs here a little early, but that's perfectly fine. We're still going to play it out anyway. Who knows, we might get lucky. We see Makuhita bulking up, and there's really nothing we can do when it bulks up. There's no reason to safeguard. It doesn't have a status move. So we're just going here, retaliating the damage, and we end up doing a 4-shot this time, which is actually really handy, and we get the badge. The first kind of hurdle. Now, I don't usually show this fight, but this fight was horrendous. The main reason being is because these Pokemon have a mix of special and normal moves, and you'll see that in a little bit. It's a little bit like, it's almost like gambling, because you don't know what type of move the opponent's going to use. This Zubat we know only has physical moves, right? It's got Bug and Ghost, which are both considered physical in this generation. So we can go ahead and use Counter. We use Safeguard so it can't, you know, Supersonic us or whatever. But another thing about the AI in Generation 3 is these trainers are essentially using random moves. Not all trainers do that, but these grunts and a lot of the kind of basic trainers do just attack randomly. So there's no way for us to know if the Numble's going to use Ember or Tackle. And that creates a massive problem for us, because we need to decide properly which move we're going to counter or whether we're going to Mirror Coat that move. I go for Mirror Coat here, it uses Ember. I go for Mirror Coat, it uses Growl. I go for Safeguard, it uses Growl again. I figured the Safeguard would prevent me from burns. We Mirror Coat again successfully, and we Mirror Coat a third time successfully. That ended up working out pretty well. Now we go to this battle here. This is kind of an illustration of what can happen when we go wrong. We go ahead and Safeguard, we get hit by Astonish, we use Counter, that's fine. We have our Berry proc. We go ahead and counter again, but we flinch. It starts using Supersonic while we have Safeguard live, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it will do that because it's attacking randomly. Our counter knocks it out, and then we have the Numble come out. So I go ahead and start going for the Mirror Coat, and we get Tackle, unlucky. We get Tackle again, unlucky, and then we just lose because it tackles us 3 times in a row. The previous one embered us 3 times in a row. There's no rhyme or reason, everything's just happening randomly. I go ahead and attach the Berry again, and we just have to kind of try and do this a few times. We get really unlucky some of the times, and I think I've included a couple of those runs in here just to show you how frustrating this can be at times. At this point, it hadn't occurred to me yet to just use Struggle to try and get through this. I thought, let's go ahead and just try this with what we have at the moment and see if that makes a difference. So we go ahead and give it another go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This time, this Numble keeps going for Tackle. And I think at one point, I just reset. Yeah, and we just try it again. Because it's like, if we don't call the shots early, we just can't win. Like this time, we get tackled, we get growled, I decide, yep, we get tackled again, we get embered finally. Then I'm like, we get tackled again, and then I like switch to counter and we get embered. It's a disaster. This is going really, really poorly. This is kind of exactly a good indication of some of the problems we're going to run into while we're running this challenge. So we go again. It's kind of a bit of insanity here. I'm just kind of like, at this point, I'm like, surely it's all going to line up for us at least once, right? At least once, right? But as you can see, still no luck. It really is kind of frustrating. So there are a lot of different times where we try this, and then eventually we come back, we level up a little bit, because I'm like, okay, we need a little bit more HP, we need a little bit more bulk, because we're just not able to we're not able to last long enough before we actually go down, because we are going to guess incorrectly sometimes. The Zubat is going to get some flinches, maybe some like supersonics off, so we have to be pretty careful. We need a bit more HP. This particular time, I think this is the run where the stars align. Yep, so we get Ember twice and we 2-shot. Oh, we don't 2-shot, that's fine. We go for counter. I was thinking about going for counter, and I should have, because it then goes ahead and tackles 2 times in a row. But I was thinking, if it's random, there's no point in changing. It doesn't really make a difference. I just stuck with Mirror Coat, and then we ended up taking it out. Second grunt gets the Zubat out. We know that this Zubat is going to be going for physical moves. That's all it has. Bug and Ghost are both physical. We go ahead and hit with the Safeguard just to keep us safe, guarded from any confusion. Confusion's pretty bad. We go ahead and counter the Zubat there. We get Astonished, we flinch, that's unlucky. Leech Life goes out, that's enough to knock it out, perfect. Now we see the Numble, and this is kind of like I'm just like, okay, come on, just please use Ember, please. Like, he uses Tackle, not a great sign. We finally get an Ember. He uses Ember again, gets a crit, which means we do twice as much damage back as well. And at 2 HP, we finally beat these 2 Magma Grunts. This took so long. Now we go to the rival, which took even longer. So I went and started this with just my regular moves, and we got Leech Seeded. Now, because we have so much HP, you can see that sucked out 12 HP. right? We have a lot more HP than this Shroomish does. This Shroomish might have about 40 HP. So 6 HP is like an eighth of its health. You can see that right there. That was about like, probably about a fifth of its health, to be honest. And we're just not doing enough damage back. So Leech Seed kind of ends us. We realize really quickly here, oh my goodness, this is not going to work out, because if we get Leech Seeded by the Shroomish, we just lose. So we do the first of many dances with Magikarp, as I like to say. We're going to start relying on Struggle. We did level up a little bit in between, I believe, the last battle and now, but basically we're losing all of our power points so that we can use the move Struggle. I'll put the details of the move Struggle on the screen here while you watch this Magikarp flail about. But it's basically a physical move that's typeless, so we can hit Ghost with it, and it does this much damage and a little bit of recoil. We have a lot of HP, so we're not concerned about the recoil, but one thing we are concerned about is that Leech Seed. As you can see, the Leech Seed is healing more damage from the Shroomish than we're doing with Struggle. So this isn't going to work. We are going to need to come back. I decide I'm going to need a little bit of backup. So I go ahead back to Petalburg and I start attacking Poochyena to get the attack EVs, and I catch 5 Zigzagoon to use pickup to help me get rare candies. I needed as much help as I could get, and I couldn't continue to afford to use super potions and all of that. The Zigzagoons will pick up some super potions, some full restores, some nuggets which we can use for more super potions, and most importantly, rare candies, which will help us level up a little faster. Also, we're basically just using Struggle to attack these low level wild Pokemon. It is a little slower, but it does mean we can get more EVs and boost our attack a little bit, which I figured we're going to need. I think we're going to be using Struggle a lot. I'm sure you probably thought about that when you started to click on this video. Struggle is going to be a big part of what we're doing here. So we go ahead now back. We're level 30, which is enormous. So we leveled up quite a bit, got quite a few rare candies, and we go ahead and basically just start hitting the Shroomish with Struggle. It doesn't Leech Seed us and we 3-shot it, which is great. We are poisoned now, but that's kind of okay because then we can't get burnt. Poison is doing a lot of damage because it's percentage based. But we go ahead and take out the number. This is the first time we've actually gotten this far, and I was pretty surprised. So we finally see the Marshtomp. We hit it with the Struggle. It hits us with Mudshot. We have 1 HP left, and we get taken out by the poison. Unlucky. We go ahead and start again. I think at this point I do give myself... I can't remember if I gave myself a berry or not. We'll find out. So we go ahead and hit with Struggle. We get Stun Sport. I believe we put on a Cherry Berry, so that heals our paralysis. We have no moves left. I don't know what I'm exactly looking at here, but we go ahead and Struggle. We hit with a crit, which is fantastic. That puts us way ahead. We are fighting the Numel now, and we actually 2-shot it, so it was a range. So we're looking really good for this Marshtomp now. It's looking like it's going to be a 4-shot. It's lowering our speed, but it doesn't really matter. We have so much HP. We're actually very bulky at level 30. So we kind of just struggle like really slowly to get these Pokemon pretty much down, and that's basically it. That's what we did. So finally beat May, and as you can see, that only took us, and I believe I saved here to show the time, 7.5 in-game hours. So we are already slower than Granbull was by far. As you can imagine, this next fight is brutal as well. A lot of these, that's going to kind of be the theme here. So we're at level 31. We're trying to struggle our way through this Magnemite, but unfortunately we're not quite a 3-shot, which means it does heal at one point. This Magnemite has Supersonic, Thunder Shock, Thunder Wave, and Sonic Boom. So it's doing tons of damage to us. And it's also giving us a lot of status conditions. We can only hold 1 berry, so we can't be prepared for every single instance that we see. Basically, the Magneton comes out, we just don't have enough HP at level 32. So we're going to need to level up, and we're going to need to find a different way to do this. Now, we attempt again. I believe at this point, yep, we did heal, and we do have Counter and Miracle and Safeguard and Destiny Bond. So I'm thinking we can counter the Sonic Booms because that'll do 40 damage back. Unfortunately, that does not quite enough damage to knock out the Magnemite, so we go ahead and we're going to have to do this a few times. Was kind of hoping for it to use Thunder Shock there, but it keeps using Sonic Boom, and just like that, just to knock out the Magnemite, we end up taking 80 HP of damage. So here's the thing with that, right? Now, obviously, we have to hit it once with Counter to do 40 damage. It heals, we need to hit it again, and then we need to hit it again. So that's 60 damage worth, right? We end up leveling up a little bit to try the struggle strategy again. We now go ahead and try a strategy I like to call the safeguard and struggle. So I healed my power points so that I just had one safeguard left, and then we struggle. Basically what this does is it gives us 5 turns of status immunity, which is fantastic. So we're actually going into the Magneton, not paralyzed. And it uses actually one of its turns, it wastes it for a Thunder Wave. We then have the Cherry Berry, so we're already halfway through the Magneton and it hasn't attacked us yet because it had to paralyze us. The AI wants to paralyze us, it wants to use a status move like Paralysis, especially if we're faster. So Struggle is going to be able to knock this Magneton out. It actually heals twice, but we have so much HP at this point. The Safeguard protected us for so long. Basically that first heal didn't matter because we were able to get it out and relatively unscathed, and we're finally able to take out the Magneton. We're going to see this safeguard strategy come into play a few times, which I think is pretty neat. I like the fact that we can use one safeguard and then struggle. Sometimes it's going to come up and it's actually going to help us quite a bit. We now go ahead and we're fighting Maxi. So the first Maxi fight, I learned something really important. We go ahead and struggle and we're just not doing enough damage. Sadly, Mightyena is going to go ahead and use Sand Attack on us. Now I'm noticing that it's using Bite, which we know is a special move, and it keeps using Sand Attack as well, which is super annoying. This first attempt actually doesn't go too poorly, but I did this a few times afterwards and we just couldn't snag a win. That crit that crit definitely mattered. That made a huge difference. And now we finally get to the Golbat. This Golbat starts biting us, we get flinched. It just goes really poorly from here. We get bitten again. We don't flinch this time, but we use struggle. We're doing about 1/5 of the damage, so this looks like it's going to be a 5-shot, which is very unfortunate, especially because Maxi still has super potions left. Struggle there, comes out again. We can see the wing attack. You can see the bite. This is just a disaster. We're not going anywhere. We're not making any headway. It's just really unfortunate. Okay, this time I'm like, okay, well, why don't I try and use Mirror Coat and Counter to actually do damage the way Wobbuffet was supposed to. This is where I learned a really important lesson. So unfortunately, Mirror Coat was changed in Generation 2 so that it doesn't affect Dark types. It is a Psychic type move. So we can't actually use Mirror Coat against Dark types. So the only way we can hit Mightyena is by using Struggle. We literally can't do anything else. I go down the mountain and I start training on Marchops here to try and get a little bit more XP, get a few more rare candies, level up so that we can hopefully get into a range. We can knock this Mightyena out without too much difficulty. We end up finding a lot of Numel in between Marchops, so this takes a very long time. Alright. We end up checking the Zigzagoons as we go as well. That one had a nugget, that's fine. We end up picking up a decent amount of rare candies here as well. We go back to the Maxi fight and now we are level 47. So we go ahead and struggle. Struggle looks like it's going to be a 4-shot. We do have more HP now, which is good. We only get hit by 1 sand attack, but that's enough for a miss. We go ahead and struggle again. Mightyena bites us. We get a super potion. We're going to need to use 4 more struggles here. Yep, 3 and then 4, and the Mightyena just takes so much of our HP out. We go ahead and hit the Golbat. We looking like we're going to do a 4-shot now, which is nice. So the extra levels definitely made a difference. We go ahead and struggle again, except we see the super potion, so now it's going to be another 4 shots and we just don't have the HP for it. At this point I'm thinking to myself, dang, we're going to have to go level up again. So now we're level 51. At level 51, I believe we are 3-shotting the Mightyena, so it does make a big difference. That's 1, that's 2, Sand Attack kind of sucks, but that's 3, and we knock out the Mightyena. Perfect. I believe Golbat is still a 4-shot. No, it could be a 3-shot now, which is actually handy. Does it end up healing here? They do. Okay, so 3 shots still. There's no more super potions, and we end up using an Orange Berry there. As you can see, we're at 271 HP, so the Orange Berry is not doing very much at all, about 4% of our HP heal, which isn't great. Camerupt comes out. We go ahead and struggle a few times. We get hit by Magnitude, we get hit by Ember, but we finally knock it out. And this took us a super long time. Maxi is going to be a problem character for us throughout this run, like a lot of them are, but we finally go ahead and beat him. And just to do a quick little time check, we're now at 13.5 hours of in-game time. We go straight ahead to fight Flannery. I have struggle still and we're level 51, so I thought, well, let me go ahead and give this a go, just how we are and see what happens. We don't quite one-shot the Slugma, which is a little bit unlucky, so they are going to heal on the Slugmas. I don't believe she heals on this Slugma here. I think she might actually. Yeah, so that's both Hyper Potions gone. We basically 2-shot the Slugmas, or 3-shot them after the Hyper Potions, which is fine. We've got a lot of HP going into Torkoal. Torkoal hits us with a Body Slam and paralyzes us, then hits us with an Overheat, which is a critical hit. We critical hit back in return. We get hit by Flail, we're paralyzed. We get hit by Flail again, we're paralyzed. We get hit by Body Slam, we struggle. We get hit by Flail again, and we get crit. So that was super unlucky for us. We go ahead and reset and try immediately again. There really isn't anything that we should need to do. I think we just got really unlucky with the paralysis and also the crit at the end. That was kind of insane. And the crit on the Overheat as well. Super, super unlucky first try. This second try goes basically the same as the first one did with the Slugmas. Nothing really happens. I believe I attached a Rawst Berry because I was worried about Flame Body, and I was also worried about potentially being burnt by like an Ember or something like that Flannery has. We can see Torkoal going for Body Slams here. It starts going for Flail, but we do 4-shot it actually this time, which is really handy. And Wobbuffet takes the win. Now we go to Norman. This fight was okay. It wasn't actually too bad. We see the slacking. I go for the Safeguard, which is okay. And then I start going for the counter. I don't know why I went for the Safeguard. I think I was trying to protect myself from Yawn. But because of the way that slacking is where it only attacks every second turn, we don't really need to worry too much about Yawn. We go ahead and counter it. Unfortunately, as you saw, we got crit by the slacking, which is unlucky, which means we just don't have enough HP to win on this particular attempt. Now, I figured I'd counter at first. I put a Chesto Berry on just in case we fall asleep. I go ahead and use Safeguard and then go for counter, but slacking outspeeds us and uses Encore, so we can't use that strategy. I say, let's not even worry about Safeguard. We've got the Chesto Berry, we should be fine, and we go ahead and just counter twice. The slacking doesn't crit us this time, so we still have some HP left. We go ahead and get a crit slash, which means we retaliate with a 1-shot on the Vigoroth as well. The slacking next goes ahead and uses 2 facades and no crits, so we 2-shot it with counter, and that was pretty easy. Winona, here's a little bit of a different story. Swallow comes out. We do have the struggle strategy, which we're using. We definitely want to 2-shot the Swallow here. And we don't quite do it the first time. So I believe it's a range. So we go ahead and try it again. The Swallow can use double team, and we do 2-shot it this time. So it is a range, which is good. The Pelipper comes out. Now looking at the Pelipper, it looks like it's going to be a 4-shot. We might just be shy of the 3-shot. It definitely seems like it. Once we get the struggle, it's definitely a little bit too low now, but we don't see a heal come out, and we see a protect as well. The protect doesn't really do anything except waste the turn. The Skarmory comes out and uses Steel Wing, and it gets a defense rise, which is really unlucky because even though struggle is typeless, it's considered a physical move by the game. So defense boosts on the opponent's side, or defense changes on the opponent's side and attack changes on our side affect the damage. As we can see, we cop a Hyper Potion here and there's just nothing we can do. There's no way we can make it past there. I go ahead and try this time with actual moves. I wanted to see, okay, so they're using Aerial Lace and physical moves pretty convincingly. Maybe we can go ahead and use counter. But as you can see, we just miss. The Swallow keeps going for double team. I realized pretty quickly this isn't going to work because if we don't get hit, it's using double team. And then when we counter and we actually do get hit, the chance of us hitting it back are pretty low. You can even see here we don't do enough damage to 1-shot it. So I go ahead and use a Safeguard on the healing turn just because there's nothing else to do and we only have so many counters. But I realize this isn't going to work. We're going to need to level up and probably rely on struggle. I go and get all of the rare candies I possibly can. I even do the trick house to get the rare candy at the end of the first stage, just to make sure that we have enough levels to take on Winona again. We're now level 57. We see the Swallow go ahead and use double team. We miss the first shot. It double teams again. And we don't two-shot it. So I just reset and we go ahead and try again. We're going to do that a few times where we get a little bit unlucky. We do kind of need everything to go our way. And we do have 8 rare candies. So I figured, okay, let me level up a little bit. See if that's going to make a difference. We want to make sure we're at a point where we're two-shotting the Swallow at least. Like, without a rage. We really need it to work. So we give it the Citrus Berry. And we try again. So Swallow comes out, we go ahead, we get hit with an Aerial Ace, we struggle. Definitely we can two-shot it now, convincing two-shot. We see a double team, that doesn't matter, we take it out, easy. Pelipper comes out, we see a Protect get dropped, that's fine, doesn't make a difference. It double protects, which is quite unlikely, but it does it anyway for some reason. We get hit with a Supersonic, which sucks, but we persevere. We don't hit ourselves in confusion, which is nice. I believe this is going to prompt the Hyper Potion because it wasn't used on the Swallow, which is completely fine. Pelipper is actually a little bit less annoying. It can't do as much damage. Sometimes it's just wasting turns with Protect as well, so that's perfectly fine. Now Skarmory comes out. Skarmory is the type of Pokemon where we are not really doing a lot of damage to it, and it's not really doing a lot of damage to us, but with the extra levels, we can kind of 4-shot it here, which is kind of handy. I'm hoping for the 4-shot, and we do get it, which is fantastic. Now Altaria comes out, hits us with an Earthquake. That's perfectly fine. We can struggle. It's looking like it's going to be a 3-shot. We see a Dragon Dance come through, which is perfectly fine. We struggle again, hoping for the 3-shot here so it doesn't heal, and we get it. Fantastic. So Winona's down. But we ended up getting the win here, which is absolutely fantastic. I went ahead and basically just went straight to Tantalizer. I didn't talk about the Weather Institute. I didn't talk about Mount Pyre. All of that was pretty boring. We were just using Struggle. That's all we were doing. And we were just knocking stuff out really slowly. Wasn't very interesting to watch. While we had all of our Struggle PowerPoints, basically, I thought, well, let's go ahead here and just try and use Struggle and see if that's the strategy to beat Tantalizer. I realized pretty quickly this isn't going to work as well as I thought. So we also get put to sleep, which is a bit unlucky. The Hypnosis really sucks, and the Light Screen doesn't actually do anything because Mirror Coat doesn't actually work that way. The damage it returns is just double the damage. It doesn't get halved by anything. It's just a set amount of damage based on the damage that Wobbuffet took. So it doesn't really matter. Things like Calm Mind, things like Light Screen don't really matter at all. It just doesn't make a difference. As you can see here, we're still trying to struggle. One thing I learned about struggle actually, which you might not know as well, which I'll tell you about. As you can see, we're not actually selecting the Pokemon we're hitting. Struggle just hits randomly, which is interesting. I go ahead and I try now with full moves to see if we can make a difference. We have the Pokeball with the Zigzagoon. The Zigzagoon's just there so we can participate in the battle. He does absorb 1 shot, but there's nothing we can do about that. We go ahead and use Safeguard, and then we're using Mirror Coat. So the Solrock is using Flamethrower. Mirror Coat actually does exactly half damage, which is fantastic. Hopefully it hits us again, and it does. We don't get a burn, and we return fire, and we knock it out. Now it's just us versus the Lunatone, which is perfectly fine as a 1v1 situation. The Lunatone's only attacking move is Psychic, but it is Calm Minding a lot. We go ahead and Safeguard, and then we start using Mirror Coat. As you can see there, it does quite a lot of damage, but just enough for the heal. So we do see the heal come out. It keeps using Hypnosis and Mirror Coat while our Safeguard is up. I go for a Safeguard, it uses Hypnosis again. I keep trying to use Mirror Coat, but it keeps trying to use Hypnosis again. Unfortunately, the AI, even the Gym Leader AI, doesn't know when Safeguard is up, but it will just try and status you if you're faster. Which I think we are, but we are going second because that's how Mirror Coat works. So, oh no, we are slower. It just wants us to be asleep. Sorry, we've gone second a few times. We get crit there, wake up, and then return fire. That was fantastic. I'm pretty confident we would have been able to win this eventually anyway. It wasn't that difficult of a battle. There was a little bit of a clutch moment there where we woke up and just retaliated the crit. That was pretty awesome. Okay, we can see Maxi here. We are level 61 and we have some rare candies in our pocket, but to be completely honest with you, this battle took us a little while to get through. I'm not going to show all the attempts because a lot of the attempts are just me kind of like flailing about, trying to work out what we're going to do. I at first thought I had to struggle this because I figured the Mighty Anna had crunch or something, but I was actually looking at the moveset. This particular Mighty Anna that he uses doesn't have crunch, it only has takedown. It has takedown, raw, swagger, and then one other move, sand attack. So there was no need for us to kind of dodge that. We could use counter because it was hitting us with a normal move. And I figured once I learnt that, that's the strategy we were going to do. It took us a little trial and error. We definitely needed more HP. Even when we healed, we came back and realized, okay, we need more HP. So then we went and trained against a whole bunch of random wild Pokemon, got some rare candies, did all the things that we need to do, and then basically came back to give it another shot. I'm kind of talking over this, like everything that is happening is pretty self-explanatory. There's not really much commentary to add because we're using Struggle. When we use Struggle, the only move we have, we got a lot of HP, so we're not actually too concerned about the recoil damage because that was 19 recoil damage, which is a lot for most Pokemon. But for Wobbuffet, it doesn't matter because its HP stat is enormous. We now go ahead and come back. We're at level 63 now and we have the moves. So I go ahead and use counter. Takedown hits us. Counter does about half, which is good. We go ahead and safeguard now, and the main reason why is because we know he's going to heal. I did this battle a lot of times. It uses Scary Face because we are faster. And it uses Swagger, but we are protected by Safeguard. That was also another strategy I was thinking of using, was using Struggle with one of the Safeguards intact, so that way we could Safeguard, get hit by a couple of Swaggers, and then basically just run through with Struggle. But we ended up using this strategy and it worked a little bit better. One of the things was we had to get really careful and creative with the amount of counters we're actually using because we wanted to make sure we had enough to actually knock out all of the Pokemon. Now we're left with 2 counters here, which is really important. I go ahead and counter and it uses Amnesia, which is unlucky. So that means we're not going to have enough counters to knock it out unless this does a ton of damage. It does a ton of damage and we're able to use our last counter here, which is fantastic. So we finally beat Maxi. I'm not going to bore you with the whole arc with Groudon. Nothing really happens except, yeah, we just catch Groudon in a Master Ball. When you're doing solo runs, it's not that important, the Groudon story. So we go ahead here and we're essentially trying to beat Wallace. Now when Wallace hits us with a Sweet Kiss, it kind of sucks. We retried a few times. We wanted to try and get the Safeguard up before it hit us with Sweet Kiss, but we just couldn't do it. We have the one Safeguard strategy here, the one Safeguard Struggle strategy, but we just couldn't, like, we couldn't get a run where Love Disc was not hitting us with Sweet Kiss on the first turn. The reason we want Safeguard is 1 for Sweet Kiss, and 2 so that we don't get confused on the Water Pulse turns. Water Pulse is a 30% chance to confuse. So we're now fighting the Whiscash. The Whiscash actually does a lot of damage with Earthquake. And it's relatively bulky too, so we're not quite 4-shotting it, and it doesn't look like its ranges either. So as you can see, it's got quite a little bit left in the red. Even if we high rolled all of those, the chance that we would not knock it out is not very high. So using 5 struggles there definitely sucks because it does a lot of damage. We're only 107 HP, which is a little bit less than third. Even though we're not taking a lot of damage with recoil, we're not doing a lot of damage with struggle either. So it takes us a long time to knock everything out. And during that time, yes, our opponents are dealing damage to us. Granted, they're not doing a lot of damage each hit, but it all adds up over time. These things take a long time. Alright, so we've come back now. We're going to give it another go. We're level 73. This time, I'm thinking about whether I want to go for the Mirror Coat or the Safeguard first. I thought we'd give it a run where we can try and use Wobbuffet as intended, just to see if that makes a bit of a difference, because it might, you know, we might as well give it a go. We've got Wobbuffet, we've got the tools, we've got to try and be a little bit creative. We go ahead and get hit with a Sweet Kiss immediately. Unfortunately, we're still not outspeeding the Love Disc. It's quite fast. We then go ahead and Mirror Coat the Water Pulse. As you can see, it is unfortunately going to be what looks like a 4-shot. There's no ranges when you use Mirror Coat. Well, that's a lie. There is a range depending on how hard your opponent hits you. But now we're also under the influence of Attract. If I was to do this run again, I probably would have set it so that the Wobbuffet was female. That definitely would have helped in a lot of these situations, because it seems that only the female Pokemon know Attract. For some reason, that's what they developed into this game. I don't know why, but it definitely runs a problem. Well, actually, no. The reason why they did that is all of the starters have a 7-to-1 male to female ratio. So 7 out of 8 times your starter will be male, and 1 out of 8 times it'll be female. So that's the reason they did that. So all of the female, like all of the roadblocks that have Attract tend to be female in this game, because your starter is more likely to be male. Fun fact for you. So interestingly enough, our Wobbuffet is male. I now know for future runs, and I'm learning as we go, we really got to pick female Pokemon so that we can't get attracted by that love disc, and also by a couple of other Pokemon that come up that are also female. We go ahead this time and we're using the safeguard struggle strategy that I was talking about before. I am also level 81. I've leveled up quite a bit. We just weren't doing enough damage and it just wasn't working out well enough. So we go ahead and use the struggle here. We use the safeguard and now we're struggling. So there's not really much to talk about here except watching how much HP we have and how much HP we need to get to the end of this. We end up being able to save the Berry until we get to Seeking, which is fantastic. Because of the single safeguard, it saved us a lot of confusion problems, and we can go ahead and struggle here as much as we need to. The Hyper Potion kind of sucks. It is a little bit unlucky. We're at 172 HP. We're taking hits from the Water Pulse. We finally get confused. We go ahead and struggle again. We take a bit of recoil. We snap out of confusion and struggle again. The Seeking uses Rain Dance this time. It has Swift Swim, so now it goes first once it's in the rain. And while it's in the rain, the Water Pulses are doing more damage than they usually would. We now get to Melodic finally. We go ahead and struggle, and we haven't gotten to Melodic before. So we're actually kind of like, this is kind of really interesting. I didn't know what I was in for. We hit ourselves in confusion, we get hit by the Water Pulse, and we faint. So I'm like, okay, let's try again. We're actually pretty close. This time we go for the Love Disc. We are faster now because we're at level 81. We leveled up a lot. And we finally hit a struggle here. The Sweet Kiss is going off, but we do have the Safeguard active. So that's perfectly fine. The Safeguard struggle strategy definitely showing its value here. The Love Disc basically does no damage to us. The Whiscash comes out. We crit it, which is enormous. That's really, really good because the Whiscash actually does quite a lot of damage with Earthquake. We go ahead and knock that out. Now we got Celio coming in. Celio's fine. We crit that too, which is awesome. I don't know if we're going to see a Hyper Potion here. Nope, we don't see it. That's fine. We have 260 HP going into Seeking here. We see the struggle. We see the Rain Dance. Pretty much standard stuff. This is kind of going just as it was before. There's not really much to commentate on. It's still a 3-shot on the Seeking, just missing the 2-shot there, but I didn't want to level up anymore. I figured we got to save some levels for the Elite Four, right? So anyway, here we are. We get Water Pulsed again. We're now at 128 HP, which is roughly about the HP we were before when we got to Melodic, but we haven't used our Berry yet, which is fantastic. We get hit by a Water Pulse, we get confused, we have the Berry, we're not confused anymore. We go ahead and struggle, and then the Melodic uses Recover, and then I realize we're in big trouble. We need a crit really badly, and we get one, and I'm absolutely in shock. We really needed that crit, and we got it, which was enormous. Really clutched up for us there. Finally, we got the last badge. We go and fight Wally next. Struggle strategy, same as before. Nothing really to talk about here. We're using struggle. There isn't like nothing really interesting happens in this battle per se. We don't get a lot of enormously good luck. We don't get a lot of enormously bad luck. It just kind of just happens and it's fine. We do get Q-Charmed here, and luckily we break through the Q-Charm pretty quickly. The Delcatty misses both Sings, which is, I guess, a little bit lucky, but then also we are immobilized 2 times in a row, or 3 times in a row with, Q-Charm. So, yeah, it's much of a muchness, kind of cancels out. We see the Magneton come in. We do 3-shot the Magneton just by struggling, so that's fine. We get hit by a Thunderbolt. We don't get paralyzed, which is your likely outcome there. Paralysis is a 10% chance, but we're lucky we didn't get paralyzed. Roselia comes out. We're using Struggle. It uses Magical Leaf. We see the Super Potion come out. We use Struggle, and guess what we do? We use Struggle again, interestingly enough. Here's the Gardevoir. It's going for Calm Minds. I don't think that that's going to make a massive difference because, yeah, so we get hit by the Psychic there. We go ahead, we get hit by another Psychic, and we're just too tanky. We end up taking it out. We have 17 HP, just enough to make it through. Interestingly enough, if we were a couple levels lower, we could do that. We finally go ahead and start fighting against Sydney here. Now, one of the things you'll notice we learned from the last run was to get the white herb so we don't get intimidated, and we do need to struggle these guys. Unfortunately, the Cacturn has Leech Seed, and you can see there just by the Leech Seed procs, the Leech Seed is actually healing the exact same amount that the struggle is doing because our HP stat is so high. We have 429 HP, so we need to come back here after we've leveled up a little bit. Oh, we actually try it one more time. We go Safeguard this time first. I'm hoping that it's going to give us a Swagger, but it actually doesn't know Swagger. It's the Shift Tree that knows Swagger. So that was kind of irrelevant. We go ahead anyway and we knock that out. We want to try and see if it's possible. We give it one more go. Except this time we don't get Leech Seeded, I think. We get hit with a full Restore here. We have to 5-shot the Cacturn, and I'm starting to learn here, like, okay, we need to come back at a point where we can 2-shot this Cacturn because the longer it's alive, the longer it's going to use Leech Seed, and it just does a lot of damage anyway. So we need to go level up a little bit more and then we'll come back. So we're at 28 hours now, which is a lot of in-game time. We go ahead and give it a go with the level that we're at now. And the thing is, we do have rare candies in the bag, level 87, sorry. So I wanted to give it a go at this level 2 to see how we're going. This is where I kind of learnt another important thing. Now that we've leveled up, we actually don't 3-shot the Mightyena. So we put the Mightyena in heal range. The unfortunate thing is we can't have a level range where we're 3-shotting the Mightyena and then also 2-shotting the Cacturn. Like, we just can't do that. It's not possible. So I'll go ahead and use the rare candies. I get up to level 91, I believe, to see if that's going to be enough to 2-shot the Cacturn, and I figured, well, let's give it a go with what we've got. If not, we have to go back and level up. It is what it is. So yeah, so we go ahead and try Sydney one more time. So it starts off with Mightyena. We get intimidated. We got the white herb, easy peasy. We know exactly what's happening there. We got Struggle there. So Struggle looks like it's now a 2-shot on the Mightyena, which is interesting. So that's another thing that we can kind of rely on, the 2-shot on Mightyena. We go ahead and struggle again. It seems to be a range for the 2-shot, so we might have to be a little bit lucky. We go ahead and reset, and I figure, okay, we want the 2-shot on the Mightyena now as well. So I pick up all my Zigzagoons, and yep, we're going back to level up in Victory Road, sadly. So we take the white herb off so we don't lose it, and yep, that's what we do for a little bit. We now come back. We have pretty much everything that we need. All right. So we end up coming back. We have 10 rare candies now and we're level 90. So we can adjust our level as we need to. We don't want to go too high of a level if we don't have to. We take less damage, we do less damage back. We go ahead into Sydney at level 93 and we go ahead and we use our white herb as usual. And I realized really quickly that I have unfortunately gone to the Pokemon Center and healed, and we have full power points with all of our moves. Okay, we're back now. We have all of the moves gone. Even Safeguard, we don't need it. We're at 30 hours and 35 minutes of in-game time. And we're gonna go ahead and try the run at a few different levels. The good thing about having the rare candies is we can use the rare candies. If we don't have enough levels at the level that we try it, we can level up a little bit more and adjust perfectly. So we go ahead and start the run at level 93 to see if that goes any well. Now the first fight at level 94, a couple of things that we're checking for, key things. We want to be able to 2-shot the Mightyena consistently. That is not going to do it, and we get hit with Sand Attack. So we're going to reset, we're going to level up a little bit more, We're going to try at level 96, I think. Right? Yep, we're going to try at level 96 and see if we get a 2-shot with that. And it looks like the suspense is killing me. We don't. We missed that range too, unfortunately. So I figured we'd give it another go just to see if it is a range, and we're just short, which is unlucky. So I go ahead and try again. This time we're going to try at level 98 and see if we can 2-shot this by the end of now. We start the Sydney battle. I must have attempted this battle maybe 30 or 40 times before we ended up getting this run. We go ahead and try it here. It looks like we're going to get a 2-shot. We do get sand attacked a stupid amount and we miss. We get slide attacked once. We now go ahead and struggle against the Cacturn, which is a 2-shot. It goes ahead and lowers our speed, hits us with a feint attack, which is fine, and then we knock it out. We do get Sharpedo here, which crunches us. We struggle, and it has rough skin, which does actually a lot of damage. The Swagger misses, which is kind of okay, kind of not. A Swagger wouldn't have actually been too bad, because then we would have boosted our attack. We 2-shot the Absol with struggle, no problem. We now have the Shift Tree that comes out, and it is using double team, and we keep missing struggle, which sucks. It finally uses Swagger, and I'm a little bit nervous, but we break through and we miss. Unfortunate. We go ahead and snap out the next turn, hit by an extra sensory, and knock it out. No problem. So finally Sydney is down. That's one of the Elite Four members. I'm honestly impressed that Wobbuffet's made it this far, but now we have another problem. So just the same way that we can't hit Dark types with Mirror Coat, we can't hit Ghost types with Counter. We can't. It's considered a fighting move, and Phoebe opens up with this Dusclops here that can just use Curse. If it uses Curse, we have to reset because it's going to take us well over 4 turns to knock Phoebe out. We're kind of a little bit stuck here in terms of what we can do, and this is kind of where the run really starts to fall apart. The sequence of events that needs to happen for Wobbuffet to succeed in one of these fights is ridiculous. I was thinking about, okay, maybe if our attack was a little bit, better, maybe if our HP was a little bit better, like our base stats, our stat distribution was a little bit better, maybe it would have made a difference. But to be completely honest with you, it just feels so inconsistent. I get to the last Dusclops here, and one of the things that you'll actually notice is we just don't have enough HP to make it this far at level 98. So I decide, okay, well, let's go for broke here. Let's go ahead and use our last 2 rare candies and see what ends up happening here. And overall, this is kind of the part where I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe Wobbuffet doesn't have this. We were able to get through Sydney, which was quite the achievement. That was quite a lot of planning, and I'm kind of happy we were able to do that. But we're at level 100 now. We can't get any stronger than we are now. So if we can't do this now, then we can't do this. I'm going to let the runs play in the background, but essentially we don't really have any we don't have any plan. The only thing we can do is struggle and just hope that whatever the AI decides to do, sometimes randomly, we just have enough gas in the tank to make it. We finally reset a few more times, and I gotta tell you, I did this fight probably close to 120 and 130 times. Like, I'm not kidding you. We did this fight so much. I could see that there was a line. I needed a few key things to happen. And I'm just gonna play a couple of attempts here until we get the one where we finally end up winning. Spoiler alert, we do actually get a run where we do end up winning. So you'll see here, like, even in an attempt like this, there are a few things that we need to happen, right? So occasionally we need to be able to 3-shot or 2-shot that Dusclops pretty reliably. It's kind of meaningless. It's like, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to do this. There's the curse. I don't think we're going to be able to do this. We just need too many things to align. It's just the amount of things that need to happen for us to be able to do this is just so enormous. And I was about to give up. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking, okay, well, this can't be done. And then this happens. Well, not that. That was a curse. But then this happens. So we start this fight here. We go ahead with a struggle. We get hit by a curse and we reset. And then this run happens here. At this point, I'm kind of thinking like, okay, I think we're done here. I think Wobbuffet's done. But Wobbuffet shows us that he can clutch up. He misses the heal range here just, and 3-shots the Dusclops. That's the first step in what we needed to do. The Banette hits us with the Shadow Ball, which kind of isn't ideal, but it's fine, we can keep trying. This Banette comes out, and this is the one with Toxic. We go ahead and hit it, it misses Toxic, which is enormous, so we go ahead and 2-shot that Banette as well. The Dusclops comes out, we hit it with Struggle, it hits us with Shadow Ball, it lowers the special defense, and then we get a clutch critical hit on the Dusclops. Another thing we needed to happen, we then go ahead and Disabilize a 2-shot. We knew that, we've been Disabilized before. It's a 2-shot. We have just enough HP. That's the pause of a man who's absolutely insanely baffled at the fact that Wobbuffet was able to turn this around. Finally, two Elite Four members down, 2 to go. And this is where the run sadly goes south. We go ahead and have to heal up our power points for the next fight, and then we start fighting Glacier here. Now, the problem with Glacier is her Pokemon all pretty much have the move Hail, which means they can all go for Hail at any given time, and Hail does a set amount of damage to us on top of the regular damage that they're doing. We can go ahead and Mirror Coat the crunches of the first Glalie. We can go ahead and Mirror Coat the crunches of the second Glalie. It actually lowers our special defense. We don't quite one-shot it, but we go ahead again, and this time we do because of the defense drop. So now we see the Celio. The Celio uses Surf. We don't quite one-shot it. It uses Surf again. It gets a crit. We don't quite one-shot it. The next Celio comes out. We try and use Mirror Coat. It doesn't work. And then we go ahead and Destiny Bond and get hit by a Blizzard. And I'll be honest with you, that's as close as we got. We never saw Wall Rain. I'm going to put some runs in the background here just sped up to kind of show you, but basically if we get Hail, we have to reset. Sometimes the Glalie is going to use Shadow Ball instead of Crunch, and we can't determine that, so then we need to reset. The specific sequence of events that needs to happen for Wobbuffet to be able to win here is just so small, right? To give you an example, this first Glalie needs to Crunch on the first turn, essentially get a crit, or hit us, not get a crit, and then we get a crit retaliation with the Mirror Coat, which can happen, right? So for that to happen alone, there's a 1 in 3 chance that it's going to go for, or 1 in 4 chance that it's going to go for Crunch. And then the chance that we get a crit is like, what, 1 in 12? So 1 in 4, 1 in 12, that's 1 in 48 chance. That is so low, unfortunately, and that's just the first turn, right? That's not even including the subsequent turns that it's going to take for it to be able to knock everything out. It's around here that I realized this is not going to be possible without using some items. So unfortunately, caveat from this point on, we are going to use some full restores in the battle. I know, this is supposed to be without items. I just want to see if Wobbuffet can make it to the end. I am going to eventually rank all of the Pokemon that I solo run, and I've figured one way to do this in a kind of fair way is to put like a minus next to it if I decide that I need to use items to get through. I'm not going to use an enormous amount of items. I'm going to use kind of the general like Elite 4 rule, which is the Elite 4 trainers have 2 full restores each. I figured it's fair for me to have 2 full restores. I have 10 in the bag because of all of the Zigzagoons helping me find them, right? So, okay, let's try this again, except now I have access to 2 full restores for each of the remaining Elite 4 members and the champion. We're quite a way into this battle already, and nothing is really different from the other attempts that we did. We're just kind of using the exact same strategy, except now as we get lower and lower on hit points, we have the ability to heal ourselves back up using a full restore. And you'll actually see us use our first one here. This is going to take us back to full health, which we kind of need. The Celio keeps using Surf, and as you can see, the Surf's actually not doing an insignificant amount of damage, right? That was like 80 something HP. We do have 522 HP, but we just don't have enough to make it all the way through. It's interesting, I've noticed that the Blizzard can miss on the last turn of Hail as Hail quote unquote stops. It shouldn't do that, but this is the second time I've seen it, so maybe that's a glitch in Generation 3. I mean, I've never noticed it before, so let me know in the comments if that is something that happens in Generation 3. But as you can see here, we were attracted and then the Celio just kept using Surf. Eventually we knocked it out. We're going to have to use the second full restore here as well. The Walreign's coming in with the Blizzard. We go ahead and hit Mirror Coat. This should be enough to knock it out. I'm looking at the damage that it's doing. So we go for our Mirror Coat to retaliate the Blizzard, and he's down. So this is the first attempt and first battle at Glacier with items, and we take it out no problem. I figured that introducing the items was going to have a pretty big impact in between here and when we actually do the rest of the Elite Four. Let's see if it's actually possible to complete the rest. Now onto Drake. We haven't had this attempt before. I know that Shelgon likes to go for Rock Tomb if we're faster, but I didn't know how much faster we were. So I go for the Mirror Coat after this, and it actually goes for 2 Rock Tombs. That's useful knowledge to know for the next time we do this, and now it starts going for Crunch. We see the full restore come out, and now we'll keep using Mirror Coat, but it keeps using Protect. Now, this is one of the problems when it comes to Shelgon here, where it is using Protect while we're using Mirror Coat. This is going to come up a couple of times, but I figured let's go ahead just for information's sake, just to test it out. Let's see if we can still win here. We can see the Protect coming out here and there. There's the final crunch to take it out. We've taken quite a lot of damage. I'm going for the Mirror Coat here. We get hit with a Sand Attack, which is nuts. You'll actually see Sand Attack is probably one of the worst things this Flygon can do to us. There's not really much we're worried about, but that Sand Attack is going to cause us problems. Salamence comes out. I'm thinking here, like, what's it actually going to go for? I figured it would go for a special move, so I used Mirror Coat, and it was the right decision. We actually end up knocking it out in one shot. It did that much damage to us. We're going to go ahead and use our second full restore now. The Wobbuffet getting healed, full strength. We're seeing Dragon Dance. We're seeing Dragon Breath, and we get paralyzed, and I realized that we don't actually have enough Mirror Coats because I forgot to heal my power points. So we reset. We're going to try this again, and we're going to set ourselves up a little bit better for success this time. That was kind of like a test run. I wanted to see, like, okay, what are we dealing with? How many times is it going to use Rock Tomb? What status items do we need, etc. So now we're better equipped. We're going to go ahead and heal up and give this a go. So here's our second attempt against Drake. We see the Shelgon. We know it's going to Rock Tomb twice, so we're going to use that to our advantage and click counter twice. Now we know it's either going to go for Protect or Crunch. We get the Crunch on the second try, which isn't too bad, so we Mirror Coat and take it out. Nice. Next we see the Flygon, we see the Crunch come out, we go ahead and Mirror Coat. Now we're not quite doing as much damage as before because last time we got a special defense drop on one of the Crunches, which we actually do get this time, which is great. We're going to go ahead and Safeguard while it heals, just because we might as well. I mean, there's nothing else we can do. The Mirror Coat's going to fail anyway. We get hit by a Sand Attack. Now this Sand Attack, I hate Sand Attack, dude. Let's go ahead and finish off this Flygon. Luckily we didn't miss there, which is great. Salamence comes out. We go ahead and we use Mirror Coat for this particular Crunch as well, but it's a range, so it must have been a range before. But weirdly enough, Drake doesn't heal here. I thought he was going to. So we go ahead and knock it out. We see the Altaria. We're going to use our first heal here. We might as well. As you can see, that's going to take us with 480 HP points north of here. We did attach a Cherry Berry because Paralysis is running rampant here, and I figured we'd go with the Safeguard because I don't want to get paralyzed again. We're going here with the Mirror Coat. The Mirror Coat's doing a little less than half, so we are going to have to 3-shot it here. We do see the full restore, so it's actually going to be a 5-shot, so there's not really much else we can do. We are going to set up a couple of safeguards in between because we don't want to get paralyzed. It goes for a Dragon Dance, which doesn't matter because it's faster than us already, and also if we're using Mirror Coat. It goes for a takedown, which is strange. And I was thinking to myself, how am I going to determine if that ever happens again, whether it's going to go for Dragon Breath or Takedown? So didn't really know the answer to that. We see the Flygon come up. It's using Sandstorm. I'm hoping this will be a 2-shot here, but I don't think it will be, knowing my luck. Yep, just short. So we're really low on HP here. I figured let's use our second full restore for Drake. Bring ourselves back up to full. We get hit with a Dragon Breath. I'm going to go ahead and I think I am going to Safeguard here because I don't want to get paralyzed. Yep, there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and Mirror Coat. The Mirror Coat fails. Well, it doesn't fail actually, it misses. So as you can see here, we missed 2 in a row. So I'm like, okay, we're going to get hit eventually. We missed 3 in a row. And I'm like, okay, we're going to hit it eventually, right? Surely we're going to hit it. We missed 4 in a row. I was like, my goodness, off of 1 sand attack, we missed 4 in a row. We finally get paralyzed eventually. We're really running out of HP here. We've only got the 1 more heal, but we finally hit it with Mirror Coat after trying 5 times to do so. Absolutely absurd. We couldn't afford to go for another, Safeguard there. We didn't have enough HP remaining, but we're finally at the champion. There you go, the full restores made a massive difference. Let's go ahead and see if Wobbuffet can hold his own in the final fight. Okay, it's all come down to this. Let's go ahead and see what we can do versus the Skarmory. Now we know this Skarmory likes to go for Toxic. Unfortunately, we learnt that when we were trying to run it with Gramble. So we're going ahead and using Safeguard straight away. And we've also put a Pecha Berry on it because I'm like, okay, this thing has Safeguard, but what if we miss a turn of Safeguard and it toxics us? We're going to be in trouble. So I put on the Pecha Berry. You can see here, we're just trying to get it to use a move that's not toxic. The only moves it knows is physical attacking with Steel Wing. So we're trying to get it to use Steel Wing. It's going to go ahead and heal now. We're going to go ahead and use a Safeguard. Might as well, there's nothing else we can do. And now we're just going to go back and counter it. Hopefully we eventually get enough counters off so that we can knock this thing out. It keeps using Toxic. One of the things you'll notice about the AI here is it doesn't detect that Safeguard is present, so it will still use status moves as the AI is programmed to, which is it will use them sometimes if it can. We finally take out the Skarmory. That's a mission. I anticipate Skarmory is going to be a big problem for future runs. I pause here because I realized to myself, I don't actually know what moves the rest of Steven's Pokemon know. When we were running with Gramble, it was kind of irrelevant. We just couldn't get past the Skarmory. So once we got past the Skarmory, everything else kind of, melted. But I didn't know what these Pokemon had, so I needed to check. Also, it's not super important for a lot of other Pokemon what these Pokemon's moves are all of the time, except now we need to determine whether they're actually going to be physical or special moves. So I'm checking here to say, okay, how many physical moves does this Cradily have? How many special moves does it have? Should I be going for Mirror Coat or Counter? What's it actually going to use? It takes me a little while to find this information, so we'll be back in a second. So we see an Ancient Power go through, we hit with Counter, we see a Giga Drain, which is unlucky, we went for Counter there. I'm thinking now, do I swap to Mirror Coat? And I do. We get hit with a Confused Ray and I realize, okay, I probably should have put up a Safeguard. It's a bit late now, but I keep going for Mirror Coat and I'm like, okay. We go for Mirror Coat again and it uses Sludge Bomb. Luckily we did end up having that Pecha Berry, so it did come in handy. I go ahead and hit with the Safeguard because I'm like, I don't want to get poisoned again. We don't have any more berries. It seems to really want to use physical moves, and it seems that the Giga Drain was like kind of a weird once-off type situation. I was thinking about healing, decide not to encounter to get rid of it. Great. The Claydol here has 2 physical moves and then Psychic, which is a special move, and it's not going to go for Psychic against me, so we know we can go for Reflect pretty convincingly, pretty clearly here. Here I am just checking what moves it has. So I'm checking, learned that it has 2 physical moves, one of them being Earthquake, which I'm like, okay, it's probably going to go for Earthquake here, so we're going to use Counter. It has Light Screen too, but that doesn't really matter too much. As you can see, the Earthquake is a 2-shot when we retaliate it. That crit would have actually been nice to have hit us the first time around, but that didn't happen, so that's fine. We see the Aggron here I'm checking. It actually has 3 special moves and Earthquake, so I'm like, okay. I think I'm still going to go for the counter here, just to see, but I go for a Safeguard just in case it goes for like Thunder that paralyzes me. I go ahead here and hit the counter. Wouldn't you know it, it's going to be a 2-shot pretty convincingly, which is nice to see. We see the Earthquake come out again, and then we have counter again. Awesome. 2 Pokemon down, 2 to go. We have, well, actually 4 down, 2 to go. We have Amaldo here who's using Ancient Power. We knock that out pretty quickly, and then we have Steven's Metagross come through. We do have 1 more full restore left that we can use, so we go ahead and use that last one. for the fight with the Metagross. We see it use Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash does a ton of damage. I'm pretty sure that just one counter is going to knock it out here, and it does. Fantastic. Just like that, with a lot of help, Wobbuffet has beaten Ruby. Now, a couple of things to kind of debrief here while we go into the champion room. This was not easy. This was abysmal, and I don't recommend anyone else to do this. You could definitely do this faster than I did. Now that I know kind of where everything goes, you can also probably reset for a Wobbuffet with better stats. Like an adamant natured Wobbuffet would actually be really good because you don't use your special attack for anything. It would help you if you're struggling. Probably best if it has, you know, better HP IVs, better attack IVs as well. Probably EV train it a little better. But here we go. Finish time 31:32. So just a little bit over, or almost a day and a half to beat this game with Wobbuffet. Oh my goodness, this was one heck of a challenge. This video took a long time to make. The gameplay took ages, let alone the video. This is why this took me 2 weeks. I was planning to release it last week, but I was like, no, there's no way that's possible. So there we go, we beat the game with Wobbuffet. As far as the rankings go, like, there's not really much to discuss. It did worse than Gramble. We've only got 2 so far. So Gramble did it in what, just a bit over 7 hours, and here we are just a little bit around 31.5 hours. And then we've also got the minus indicator for using items, using the full restores in the battle, just to get to the end. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end of this, I really do appreciate you. This has been like half a movie, an hour and 7 minutes. Incredible amount of time, but thank you so much for watching. If you appreciate the solo runs and you want to see more of them, please consider subscribing. If you like the video, it really helps me out as well. If you want to see another Pokemon get solo run again, put in the comments what you want to see me do. Open to suggestions. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. See ya.